What I'm saying, actually, you see, I mean, it's a combination of
As an expert in the various martial arts in China, what did you think of the fighting that you saw in the movies?
Martial art has a very, very deep meaning.
Hello, dear master, dear Mr. Pinto. I would like you to make with you some interview and ask you some questions for our journal World of Martial Arts. And the first my question is, you have a long way to go through many different martial arts. Have you found yourself?
Yes, I was able to find my way. You know, it's been at least in my mind, it's kind of like Bruce Lee. You know, I was since I was a kid, I want to learn everything, right? And you know, like at least 30 years ago when I started, like in 90s, it was not so easy like today. Today times people don't imagine how easy it is. You know, YouTube, internet, online training. You know, I have to travel a lot, and so I was like, I want someday go to China, Japan, or something. And funny thing that after 10 years, when I started in Portugal, I was already doing. I started with several masters, but two people came out. It was Master Carlos Pedro, Portuguese. So you understand, I was born in New York, Manhattan, but then when I was 6 years old, I moved to Portugal, and then I have family for 60 years here, right? I moved in 2012 here, but I've been in the United States all my life, you know, visit family. And especially since 2000, 99, 2000, I started visiting my teachers because I have 4 teachers in California, 1 hour away, so I have 3 teachers in Stockton, multi-style Escrima. And I have a teacher close from me. I'm in South Carolina now. And I have a teacher in Santa Rosa in San Francisco. But anyway, going back, when I started Portugal, I started with Karate Shotokan. My teacher will train with the Portuguese Vilas Pinto that trained directly with Nakayama and Masatoshi Nakayama. So I was really lucky that way. And then I found the Aikido teacher, and I forgot was Carlos. I just studied a year, but it was Aikido Yamario Aikijujutsu that trained with Morihiro Saito in Japan. Anyway, years passed, and I started Taekwondo ITF. I met the teacher, Carlos Pedro, still my friend, and I always call him a teacher. We have a really good relationship. And he started teaching me Taekwondo ITF with the WTF, but it was ITF. Why? Because we're doing Yongs, and I started learning boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Funny story is, when I moved my direction, and I will talk about that, my teacher right now from Portugal is just doing Muay Thai Boran, Kravi Kravong. You know, he do the really traditional. He went to Thailand, got the massage therapy, the double swords. He went that direction. In my case, I was training with him and with Master Chong. Master Chong was one of the students of General Choi in Korea. So he was the founder of Taekwondo in Portugal. So I was very lucky to get the black belt from him. And the Taekwondo is very different. It's like today I see the Olympics. I like more Karate Shotokan Olympics than the Taekwondo way because of several things. I just think that the technique is better. But Taekwondo, the real Taekwondo is really good, right? So I learned the Taekwondo, and then I was learning Hapkido too. So I was training with my friends in Kosho Ryu Kempo, Kaju Kempo, Esgrima. I will go to all seminars. My teacher, Carlos Pedro, was open-minded and said, Nelson, go and learn. And eventually I saw the magazine. I saw it was a teacher from California, Grandmaster Michael De Alba. That became like my father. He came to my wedding in Portugal. And long story, the last 2 decades, I'm training with him. Why? He had the modern Farang Musul, right? And I became a master in this system, but I saw the system say, oh, I have Hapkido, I have Taekwondo, I have Sumo-do, I have Kuksuwan. Had the mix of, because he was in Korea, and he trained with several Korean masters, and 2 or 3 teachers of him was direct students from that Kido founder. But he also was a kickboxer. He was a full contact champion in California. He was, a lot of his students were SWAT team, military. So he started with firearms. He had friends like Frank Shamrock. He started with catch wrestling. Jeet Kune Do for Larry Artsell. There was a student from Bruce Lee and the partner training of Danilo Santo. He started putting, and trained with a lot of people from Escrima, like Edgar Saliti. You know, the Bay Area, San Francisco, is a lot of esgrimadores. And Wally J influenced his system, the joint locks, Danzan Ryu. So it was a Korean system, but it was not close. And then he put the good grappling from BJJ, from Ralph Gracie. So what he did was he kept Farang Musul very traditional with all the weapons, like you will see, like weapons, like I can, my camera not the best, right? The trident, the spear, the swords, like more than, he says there's 110 weapons. I will say I will train 25 weapons, but they're based on 9 categories, you know, long, medium, short, rigid, impact, bladed, projectile, combine. When you know all these categories, you start understanding any weapon. And, you know, archery, it took me AR-15, gun, I started learning all this. Well, anyway, he had this system and I was like, well, I want to learn this. He have the traditional part with meditation, with massage, with healing arts, but he also have the MMA. And I say, I want a martial art that is the fusion of the modern world with the tradition. Just not sport, just not traditional classic, or just not classic or just modern. That is able to bring worlds together and to be in respectful and have forms, but have grappling, but have do weapons, but fight with the weapons, not only kata, yong, but what are the sets, what are the drills, what are the techniques, and then take to sparring. So everything with him will go for technique, drills, kata, yong, bunkai, bonhae, in Korean, the application of bunkai, bonhae in Korean, and then the sparring. I saw that the system was different from Taekwondo or Hapkido because the system for Musul is it's with a lot of systems, especially the Warang arts, 4 Warang arts, are Chinese influence, what they call the Kwambap. So people don't know, Kwambap in Korean means the fisting method, right? But Kung Tao means the same in Indonesia. Xuanfa in Chinese means the same. And Kimpo in Japanese. So the 4 words means the same. And because it's Chinese influence. Also, I never saw Korean with Chinese influence. You know, the Sumodo, the Rapsu, the several Warang arts, not only Warang Do, but 4 Warangs. And then the Taekwondo Hapkido, the Tukuksu one, he had that. And I said, this is so interesting. So the hands, they look like Kimpo, right? They said, like, some people, now, so you're doing Kimpo. No, I'm doing Kwamba. What are you talking about? Well, before the Japanese invasion in 1910 to 1945, that's where Taekwondo Hapkido came from, Daito Ryoaki Jujutsu, and from Karate Shodogan. Before that, you have the systems were influenced by Chinese. That's why you will see the weapons, spear and all these weapons came since 1500s. They sent Warang officers that time to study the weapons because they were fighting barbarians and the Mongolians and other things. And just like finally you have the Japanese and say, well, Japanese are really good. We need more. It's like Cold War, you know, like you see Russia, China, United States, all competing for weaponry. What they did was they studied China and brought to Korea. Anyway, I found this system that brought me everything. I like it, right? And I was like, I want to train with this master. I contact my teacher. He sent me videos of manuals and I started studying. I was like, I don't want only videos and manual stuff. So I was American citizen. What I did was I moved 1 year to his home and I started training the system 24/7 every day. And my teacher will send me for important people. That time I met a lot of masters, very important from Kempo and Escrima, because my teacher was, because of that, I met like Janet G, Ming Lum, a good friend from Bruce Lee, you know, Wally J. By the case, I met Adriano Imperado before he died, Siju Adriano Imperado, because we were in a funeral, and it was Ed Parker Jr. So I was very lucky to meet all these many famous people, because my teacher was always connected. He was not just one line. I like him as American, Mexican, by the way. He lived in Korea, he learned the culture. And I was like, I'm not going to Korea, Japan, or China. I'm going to study with a Western, like a European or an American teacher, but I want someone that have the traditional, but it still is able to go to the future, not be stuck on a classic, that can offer me a way of training traditional, but for me to be also be modern. You know, I can keep my boxing, I can keep my Muay Thai, I can keep all this inside of the system. And, you know, if I show you, for example, my teachers like me, very OCD, everything it's with manuals, right? Manuals. So I'll see, for example, you see how my teacher, everything, it's like manuals and manuals. So everything, it looks so on detail, you know, cane and fan and guns and knife. And I just, you will see, right? Everything on video and history and tactics of training. And of course, I like, you know, I became a law enforcement in the United States, a correctional officer, a few years. But anyway, everything was very, you have the knowledge, you don't have no problem to give it to me. So I moved to the United States, and I eventually became a black belt. I moved to Portugal. I helped Poland and Germany and South Africa and Puerto Rico. I started the last decades to help to spread the system, right? I did several training, Puerto Rico 6 times. I trained Royal Guard of Prince of Kuwait and military there in Kuwait, right? US Navy. Came to Texas to teach military knife fighting. And so it's been a long journey, but my system number 1, it's the Farang Sul I see here. I did my 5th degree 10 years ago. I need to do, so if everything goes well, 2022, I do my 6th degree. So 5th to 6th, almost 10 years. So my teacher's like, Nelson, you need to test. I was like, okay, I don't care about, I will test. But it's not about the certification. It's about the knowledge, because I know a lot of people start with me, or friends start like 10 years ago. They're already 4th, 5th. I started 30 years ago. I have my 5th degree, right? And I'm very proud. For example, I'm going to test November for Stockton multi-style Escrima also. And I've been studying since 2016, right? And so there, Nelson, you need to test. Okay, I'm going to test. What is 3 systems of Escrima in 1? So anyway, my number 1 is being Stockton multi-style and Filipino martial arts.
Could you please tell about your system? Yeah, you start with Escrima, yeah? And then you will found your system, Farang. Tell please about your teacher, your grandmaster, yeah? Michael De Alba. How did you met, and what about his philosophy?
Okay, so give me 1 second. I want to pull something. You know, I'm kind of nerd, you know. This is some of the books. These books here, Chuck Norris is in one. I'm there too. They invite 75 people. Chuck Norris, Fumio Demer, Cynthia Rothrock, Adrian Paul for the Frank Duke. I'm one of these books here. What is this? So I kind of keep everything. I have my library. My teacher, Grandmaster De Alba, it's what I like when I met he's been studying for 60 years, my teacher. Let me give him 1 second. This is my Portuguese teacher. I have more, but I give the respect to him always. Oh, this is one of my teachers, Balintawak. I need to finish, but I'm not the instructor. I'm just the fifth level. Next level, I will do it. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find a magazine. My teacher, I came here, I'm part of this article. So I don't know if you know Taekwondo Times, is probably the most oldest magazine in the world. That's my teacher. I took this picture in the mountains of Kyujun, the Bulguksa temple. Bulguksa temple was like a West Point for the United States, a military academy. It was built 1,500 years ago for the Warang officers. So they will get young kids, 16 years old, and they train them to become officers. You know, they train in everything, like samurais, gardening. They even train 3 religions. So they can, the idea was freedom of expression. So they can reach everybody. People were Buddhists, people were the Shintoism. So they're very open minded already that time. So the officers, they were humble. Samurais, boom. The ideal of the Warang warriors were Walbuk. Walbuk was kill in the last resource. They will not kill just to kill. They will not kill the prisoners already 1,500 years ago because of the Buddhism influence. Because life is precious, right? So my Grandmaster De Alba, going back, born in the United States, spent many years in Mexico, moved to the United States, and he's been here. He's one of the top North Americans in America, North of America. He's one of the top Korean martial arts masters. They call the Renaissance man because he called his Korean art like a Jeet Kune Do, a Korean Jeet Kune Do, because he was able to separate the traditional, everything that's traditional from Hapkido, Warang art, Sumo-do, but then have a traditional part. And we're able to define that, right? And have his own system. He started with boxing and shooting and horse riding in Mexico, rifle, knife with a machete, Mexican machete. One of his workers was from Pancho Villa that fought the revolution in Mexico. So he teaches machete techniques. When he moved to the United States, he trained with many masters. I think the first master was Carlos Navajo, that I met his teacher, one of his teachers, and he's still his friend. He kept a relationship. Carlos Navajo was a direct student from Ralph Castro. You know, the late Grandmaster Ralph Castro, Karate Kempo, very famous master in the United States, from the direct lineage from Hawaii, right? So it was when he started with Kempo. And then, it's trained many systems, but one of the things was the Korean systems. So he started Hapkido, Taekwondo, kickboxing, several Warang arts. But then he was the US Air Force, he went to Korea. So back in Korea, he was lucky to train with what he have Danwon Park, in the United States, Dr. Jubang Lee was Warang-do, right? Unfortunately, he talked with everybody, not with Dr. Jubang Lee, but that's politics, and I don't want to put it here. And unfortunately, he talks with all teachers, not able to talk with this teacher because they trademarked the system. So, unfortunately, trademark is only ours, only Korean can control, Westerns cannot control. So my teacher's like, anyway, long story. So you learn in Korea, you learn Sumo-do, Do-hapsul, and several arts of a Warang from his teacher from the Air Force and from Korean teachers. I remember that he was telling me that he will grab the bike and he'll drive the rice, the rice camps, the agriculture. And the Koreans start like, Aguya, Aguya Miko Saran, Aguya Miko Saran. What it means, Aguya means look, it's an American, Amico, American. Saram means person. Look, an amico saran, and my teacher will say, Aguya, amico, angusaran, amico, Aguya, Angguk Saran. It means, oh, look at Korean. So they start laughing because they say, look an American. And you point to them, look at a Korean. They start laughing, right? So people, so you start connecting with the people who get out from the Air Force Base and start meeting a lot of the Korean, the farmers and people. And they got a way to train with some monks, like the Sumodo, Adohapsu, they're monks. And they teach in the temple. He was accepted. So, and he started training with them. And some of these arts, at least the new lineage, you don't talk about. You, for example, you Dohapsul, a friend of mine, he'd stop Kido. No. Dohapsur was a system that basically is extinct. There's a few guys, I think, someone in Argentina, one in the United States, but it's like a kung fu with no joint locks. It's kung fu and weapons, Korean. Right? And people don't know about that. So Grandmaster put that on the system. For example, one of the forms I will show, it's muhap. It's like this, right? So you come back, boom, 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 boom. Right? And you say, that's not Korean. Yeah, because it's Chinese influence. You'll see that, right? The movements are very beautiful. But let me do it slowly. Right? And you will see trapping and other things in the middle, right? You do this, it can be a trapping or it can be in a hit and down. So it's the hand always here. The hand is not here. Debbie just said number one, the hand is here. It looks like you will see like Jet Li, right? And the Debbie just said it's here, not here. So they have this for traditional, but from my grandma's, for example, this means a joint lock, like arm bar, arm pit that you grab and you break the arm. That's this. That's what it represents. This, it will be a break, arm bar break. Not the punch. Right? So you see a lot of the, they will keep the hand here. That's why you will see this. You're always keeping a control. And I like this system because it was not like my Taekwondo. And I love boxing and say, hey, boxing always keep a hand up. Right? Kickboxing, you always keep up. Okay, I like that traditional. So my grandmaster, was one of the things I liked. It was he kept the boxing, but even the traditional position, the techniques were totally different, right? It looks kind of Kempo. I'm not saying that it's influence from other teachers influenced that. But anyway, he studied in Korea, brought the system to the United States, and one of his top teachers when he moved to the United States, James Gordon, Don On Park, and so on, was Dr. Jubang Lee. He became one of the chief masters in Warangdo. He was one of the top teachers of Warangdo. But then he came a lawsuit. In fact, Jeff Speakman was following this lawsuit. That's why he called Kempo 5.0, because of my teacher was fighting for the name. They trademarked. My teacher called Modern Warangdo because of the politics. You're asking tons of money. So he separated from that. So he respect ID. I think they eventually, after 20 years, Farang Musul is Farang Musul. He still always talk about Dr. Jumagli with respect because always have the respect and always appreciates the knowledge that was passed to him. But eventually they say, okay, Farang Musul is a derivative, even if he's very different from Warangdo right now. I wish all the best to them, and eventually with 20 years, they're fighting for Warangdo. And my teacher say, hey, I just want to keep Farang Musul, but it's my way. I keep it away. And he did his own blend. And I like the blend he did, that you have elements of, you have all the traditional Korean systems, but then you have the kickboxing, the Muay Thai, and the Jiu-Jitsu, and the wrestling, the trapping from Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do. And he tried to do it not like a crazy salad. Let me say, you cannot just throw everything because it's like cooking. You're not going to put everything there. You need to know a good blend, right? So I like the way he did the blend. When he put concepts, he's not saying, hey, we have all the systems. No, we have conceptual ideas. And he always say, we don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel already exists. The only thing I did was I grabbed several concepts and ideas and I improved the trapping. I improved, for example, the Hapkido. He improved with concepts of his friend, Wally J, that already died, was a good friend of Bruce Lee, right? Wally J was the small circle jiu-jitsu. The hands, not so low up from kickboxing, Muay Thai. The grappling don't exist so much. So catch wrestling with BJJ, and we always give it's not, we don't say our grappling is so good like BJJ. It's not. But we think that the idea of my teacher was to have a system that covered 5 distance, monitoring, kicking, punching, trapping, elbows and headbutts and knee shots. I'm just getting by. Clinch on the grappling, and then eventually grappling on the floor. But be able, if we go down on the floor, be able to do we have a weapon, a knife coming? How I escape from this position, right? Because you say, so we want to have a little bit of everything, but in a program, correct, by positions like corner top, side top, full mount, you have these finishings, this is the escapes, to have some knowledge. This is the trapping. And so this is our trapping. It's not like Wing Chun. Wing Chun is not Wing Chun we're teaching. It's our trapping. We got these ideas. Okay, this is Korean, and we have this, but we can't. So I like Farang Musul because I think it's a Korean American result that was able to keep the meditation. I became a massage therapist, healing arts. Because of my teacher, I want to understand the other side of healing arts. And my teacher in black belt have acupuncture meridians when you do the pressure points and the attacks. I'm not saying that you hit and the guy fall down, right? We don't do that. We're not like that touch. But he's based, the joint locks based on that to be more effective. We use that. So I like that combination of both worlds. And my teacher, like I was saying, I feel very happy. Let me show the article. So it starts, in 1 second. I'll be glad to give you a biography. So let me some pictures. You'll see here, right? And he talks about the Chila dynasty because that's where the Warang warriors started. What is the philosophy of the system? It's based on the Warang warriors for 1,500 years ago, right? And if you want me to talk a little bit the Warang warriors, I can talk. This was a picture with Poland, Kashka, Katarzyna, Master Vega from Puerto Rico. We have, and then a lot of other Americans, but we have people from Germany, other countries. This is me. This is in a Bulguksa. We have the unbox, traditional unbox. I kind of like a lot of shirts and shorts. And sometimes I use dobok. I kind of go for whatever is needed. But yeah, the system tried to bring both of that, but the philosophy is based on the Warang warriors. And why? The Warang warriors were a big influence in the Korea. Korea was divided in four parts, right? It was Kaya, Pachek, Kuguri, and Chila, 1,500 years ago. Chile did a kind of a contract with China, Tang Dynasty, got mercenary soldiers, and then eventually they conquered everybody. Kaya disappeared before all that, so the fight was to Chile conquer Paichek and Koguria. They united all the country. It became Chusun, the country of the morning calm morning, right? That's why even you see the sun on the symbol, right? It represents a lot of things. But the idea when they invented the event, they want to bring the Warang warriors was because they need an ideal for Korea. So people will be unified and they have an ideal. So in fact, they start with women. They call Wonwa. They have this elite group of women like Amazons. The problem, what happened was the two best start fighting and one killed the other one. So and that was really bad for the time, right? It was a bad representation. So the king was like, okay, no more women. They start fighting. Let's try with guys. So King Shihang with Onpuan Bapsa was the monk. They build this group of Warang warriors. They get the kids 16 years old. They teach all kind of martial arts, archery, horse riding, that talks about this, a lot of the weapons. This is the only book that survived to the Japanese. because Japanese between 1910 and 1945 burned like the Germany did. They burned everything. So this was one of the books, was the manual for military. So it started in 1500s, but this result was in 1700s. It was the only one was able to survive. And he talks about the Kwambop. You'll see the armors. You'll see some, it is interesting, but it talks about, he kind of confirms this, but he confirmed, you'll see the empty hand with a Kwambop. And you see it looks like the Chinese, the designs, and because it was, they brought it from China. They sent people there. But anyway, so they want to build these perfect warriors. That was a good representation. These people know healing arts. They were doctors. They invented the porcelain. So Japan, porcelain was more expensive than the gold. They built the first astronomical tower also. People don't know that. They don't gardening. So they're like samurais, they know all this. But they were like, they take care of people. They even invent the language on Google, the Korean, because it was 24 characters. Because people like the nobles and the warangs and the king, they will write in anja. Anja means kanzi. Kanzi is in Chinese, right? They write in Chinese, kanzi. Koreans call anja because it's like the sword, you know, for people like us, nobles, we write this because it's, but for people like more, the people, let's invent, but they invent the language, the written system with 24 characters. 24 characters, only for ignorant people, but they did it. So even the farmers know how to write, right? And they call the golden age. When they were able to reunite and make sure soon the Warang warriors, they create the golden age. It was peace. Japan was tried many times, they're afraid. They were all united, they're very strong now, that peninsula. Anyway, we know that what happened was politicians start to be very jealous of the military. And what they did was they started weakening the military. And they start being traitors, right? To Japan. Money. Power. They don't care to sell their country. So what happened was that's why slowly Japan invaded Korea, because they brought their military down, the politicians. Because they just want money. They don't care about people. They don't care about nationality, and they're patriots. So when they weakened the Warang dynasty, he was totally basically destroyed, right? They say, we don't need military. We live in peace. The world is in peace. Well, 1910, 1945, we know, I don't want even to go politics, but we have a lot of times, we have several countries think that. Society became very modern, very advanced, but then we don't need warriors. So a lot of times what happened in the society today's times is, why you train with knives and swords, and why you go shooting, right? I go shooting, right? And why you do that? Well, I believe that a gentleman, I call myself a warrior scholar. A warrior scholar is someone that likes to read, someone that loves life and his wife and his friends and family, that is polite, right? But if I need to fight, I will. You know, I will tell. 2 weeks ago, I brought my wife. I was not going. I was in a Hawaiian shirt, and dog brothers, people were fighting. I told my wife I was kind of sick. I have vertigo. And I was like, I'm a little bit sick. I looked to my wife. Can I go fight? You know, say go. I know you even sick. Go at least. And I went full contact with the hockey gloves and sticks. Only hockey gloves and a helmet. Full contact, right? With the stick. I did it. You know, it was fun. I love it. We finished. We friendly. Bow. I'm back a family man. But I believe you don't need to be macho all the time. A true macho is knowledge and a warrior and a gentleman. That's when I talk about tradition and MMA fighter. You don't need to be always on a kill zone. But yes, I train. I have shotgun. I want to rifle. I have gun, right? Lots of ammo. I have knives, swords. like to train everything I can, grab my hands, everything. Empty hand, grappling, whatever I can, open mind. And that's what my Grandmaster De Alba, when you ask about it, he always incentivate me, go learn, improve, because Farang will still have all these areas. He's not going to mess up. Now, you need to put the technique based on concepts, strategy, and in the right group. So that's when I talk about salad, right? He taught me that, center of line, zone off, weapon, geometry, not just go and kill yourself, right? Boom, brawler. I see a lot. I want to fight smart. I want to hit, but not be hit, like Muhammad Ali, right? He hit and move back. And that's what the first time my teacher, I liked it, was he taught me to be, he was a family man, have his kids, his wife, big guy, very tall. I'm short, I'm 5'4". He's like a giant. But he always loved life. He say, hey, I go to street, I'm gonna get my wife in San Francisco, and I look, but he take his gun and 2 magazines and 2 knives. He say, I don't want to use them. I will never use them. I'm against violence. But I believe if I can, they use the force, right? The use of force have to be proportional. If I need to pull the firearm, is because probably the use of force is very big. If I need to pull a knife, because we have to also teach martial arts based on the law. I don't want to teach a student and he go to prison. My teacher, I like it. He have a lot of common sense. He teach me to be a military mind and a civilian mind, or a law enforcement mind, to be a scholar, educated. I was a kind of brawler when I met him. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, fight, my mind. And when I met him, meditation now. Okay, let's correct the spine. Let's do forms. Okay, put the gloves now. Let's box. Put the knife, right? Let go with the trainers. Put the helmet. Put the hockey gloves. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. And I was like, oh, no, only kata. Also drill. Also sparring. You see, it's like sparring. Totally different from technique. We need to build up. So I think I just love the balance of that. That how my teacher appreciated. One of the things I love it when he come to Germany and Poland, everywhere, it was not only martial arts. It was about the food, the music, the culture, the monument. To know more about, like we went to Poland and understand their history, how they think about it. And he was American. I like them. You don't thought like, oh, American, the best. That everybody think about that about Americans. It's really wrong. That's all you than TV. In fact, a lot of Americans I've been meeting, they will ask me about culture and they want to learn. They want
your 3 main principles in your life.
The main principles in martial arts, I will tell that number 1 is profession of character. I want to be a better person, right? And have the capacity to forgive, because I'm not perfect. So I ask God or the universe that I forgive my enemies, but I want that they have the other people I hurt, I want them to forgive me. I want to be a better person. Second one, I want to improve my mental health and physical. I'm 44. You see my pictures. I try to be in good shape, good cardio, do my splits, because I see a lot of masters, my friends, start to be fat. The more dance, the more fat. I think we have to be disabled to I have to be, in good shape, skinny, diet, meditation, to perfect myself. The third one, I will say I will go for self-defense. So the last one will be self-defense. Sports it's a small part of my life. It was between when I was 13, 14 years old, 15, until 25, 30, right? The number 1 thing for me is family. If you ask, what is the most important thing for me is family. And when I talk about families, my teachers, my students, and my real family, they're all family. My friends are more family than family. Because I don't think that family defines by blood. it decides by energy, by heart. And that's what I want. When I teach martial arts, it's love. It's not about hurting. I want to learn the most I can. Unfortunately, I cannot learn everything. I don't want to be a jack of all trades, jack of none, that you learn everything, then you don't know nothing. And I feel that on my 40s, like, man, okay, I do Farang Musul, the Hapkido Taekwondo is there, and I have all these systems, but I'm doing Escrima, I'm doing Stockton multi-style that have Bahalana, Giron Escrima, Decuerdas and Serrada, that is inside of that system. And I've been learning Piper. And for now, I kind of cut it off because I was a Wing Chun, Silat, and learning with everybody. And it came a point that I was saying, between job, family, and martial arts, I said, well, I want to be healthy. I want to have time for my family. I need to downsize my martial arts. So I kept Farang Musul and Filipino Esgrima for my option. Maybe someday, if I have time, I would like to learn BJJ, really, a good school of BJJ that take care of old people like me on my 40s going to 50. Old, I'm joking. But, hernias, ACL replacement, so that I can train and improve, right? But that's the two things I love, modern Farang Musul and the Stockton multi-style Esgrima, or any kind of a Filipino Esgrima. I have a big love. In fact, three of my teachers are coming in the end of the month. They're coming from California. And if you have time, I can talk about the Esgrima that I learned. So that's my secondary, Farang Musul and then Stockton multi-style Esgrima. That's the two systems that I've been pouring my time and my love. That's why I came late. That's what I was teaching this morning.
So, dear master, thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview.
What I'm saying, actually, it's a combination.
As an expert in the various martial arts in China, what did you think of the fighting that you saw in the movies?
Martial art has a very, very deep meaning.